This was probably one of the best articles in a while. How climate change is hitting vulnerable Indonesian trans sex workers. So that's just
a lot of things.
This is a big string in 3 things that have nothing, don't matter together.
It's tough.
You basically gave someone, you're like, listen, trans shit's hot. Climate change is hot. Being a prostitute's hot. What can you bring me?
Indonesia, not hot.
Indonesian,
not hot. This is probably like the Indonesian Ministry of Tourism is trying to get Indonesia on the map here.
And they go, yeah, this is not what we had in mind.
We need some big press about Indonesia, something viral, you know?
Yeah, something viral.
Somebody goes, I got it. This will make the rounds on every podcast in the world.
It's so crazy to say that, like, you know, if you are trying to pitch that like climate change is the problem, like even if you are saying like, look how much of a problem it was, this is your pitch to people. It's like, buddy, if we don't stop with these climate change, these Indonesian fucking gay prostitutes are gonna be fucked.
It's so funny too because they're like
they're not gonna be able to find tricks.
Essentially, the premise is they you know, have to go to they're like work outdoors and they can't work anywhere else or whatever.
That's the gist of it.
They're trans and it's raining a lot.
It's too rainy for them to go turn
tricks on the corner. And then like there's probably in Indonesia there's so many guys who are like up in a fucking tree chopping coconuts being like, we're also affected. Like I know I'm not trans, but like I'm literally up here chopping coconuts and I'm getting washed out by all this rain.
But are you trans and a prostitute?
Yeah, I goes, look, okay, nobody gives a shit about your coconuts, but we could get people to give a shit about the trans people, and then that will trickle down. They're fake coconuts. And then that'll trickle down to you, and people will maybe care about the coconuts.
Yeah, so this is how, trust me, this is how you get people to care. I'm telling you.
I know it seems nuts.
It's so crazy, it just might work. You get people on with the fucking trans, the prostitutes. Next thing you know, coconut time.
Yeah, coconut time.
No one is coming out during the longer rainy season. Dude, imagine any other time in history just being like, trying to write an article being like, it's too rainy for people to be prostitutes. Isn't this like a problem? How can we fix this? There's not enough prostitutes out on the street trying to sell sex.
I can see that as like a little...
we need to fix this.
Like a little just like line item in like a newspaper from like England in like the 1800s or something. Yeah. You know, like, too rainy for prostitutes.
You think that anyone would just be like, good?
Good, yeah.
You're like, oh, the prostitutes are off the street because it's too rainy. And you're just like... And we need to fix that. You're like, wait, you're saying we need to get more prostitutes on? And you go, well, how many do you think's the amount? You go, there is no amount that's enough. We should always have more trans prostitutes.
Could we maybe get them a tent? What about umbrellas for trans prostitutes?
There we go, problem solved.
Yeah, problem solved. What about umbrellas? They go, no, because the problem is the Johns, they're equally washed out though, right?
The Johns,
they don't like to hop in the... You ever had to go run an errand in the rain?
What about John suits? So it's like...
Fully rain, like how golfers have their rain gear. You get them
I think that's what happens.
Everybody's just in golfer rain.
I think the government should subsidize that too. So it's basically government subsidized John rain suits. That's a big John.
Is there any way that we could get
just John on the front?
Yeah,
John suit. Do you go? Your wife's like, "Why are you wearing? Hey, why did I find a John? Why did I find a John suit?"
Oh, they're just giving those away for all the climate change rain.
You go. On the contrary, I'm Jewish, and this was free.
It's actually a good deal.
I only wear the John suits. Your wife's like, so you need to stop wearing the John suits. You go. You find me a better deal.
Now,
then the government issued John suits.
Here's an out-of-the-box kind of question/idea. Is there any way that we can train trans people to do anything other than be prostitutes? Could we get them like a customer service job?
They're pretty set on being prostitutes.
But like, we get them like a job at just doing customer service.
No,
you know, for like AT&T or something, where they're just on a phone all day.
I've sort of run this by the trans Indonesian prostitutes, and they said they're pretty good with the prostitute gig.
But climate change is destroying that, so we need to get them work indoors.
Well, that's why we need to stop climate change.
Okay. Yeah.
And then you're like, well, what if we can't stop climate change? Are you not listening to the John suit idea? Am I speaking to myself when I mention this? Hello? Hello? So I guess I'm just fucking talking to myself with the John suit bit? We give the suits to the Johns.
They're totally rainproof.
You go, so what's going on in Indonesia? You go, well, obviously, this does seem like you leave someone to take care of a town, and they come back and they've like just completely made a mess of the place, and you're like, why is everyone wearing suits? You're like, well, we had the prostitutes, but it was too raining, so the trans-Indonesian prostitutes couldn't get the John suits. So we had to put all the Johnson suits, and then we ran out of materials for the John suits, so all the John suits had to wear space suits, and now all the prostitutes are naked in the John suits.
It's a whole debacle over here.
The bottom line is I'm stressed.
I'm stressed. It is tough to run this.
Yeah.
Well, all right.
And the problem was we needed employees to make the John suits, but then the John suit place put all the other places out of business. So then because the John suit places put all the other stores out of business for giving out free John suits, no one could make any money. So no one had any money to buy the prostitutes. So defeat the whole purpose of the John suits in the first place.
We tried to teach the prostitutes to make the John suits themselves, but they don't want to do anything other than prostitute themselves.
They don't want to do anything.
They just will not listen.
They wouldn't listen, man.
They're very hard-headed prostitutes.
Yeah, the trans-Indonesian prostitutes definitely. They definitely don't want to be making the John suits. That would just be too simple, wouldn't it? Yeah. That would just be too fucking simple.
What about the regular prostitutes? How are they dealing with this?
They'll make the John suits.
Well, I guess they'll just go get a regular job.
The normal prostitutes will make the fucking John suits and they'll like it, I'll tell you that much.
They'll be like, back to prostituting because I made a suit.
Yeah.
Trans ones are just kind of twiddling their thumbs.